K.A. Bullet's footballing channel.
Hurry up, tell me why I'm here.
You probably already know that the 2026 FIFA World Cup will be happening this summer. And the first FIFA World Cup with 48 teams. But 45 of those teams needed to play qualifiers to make it to this World Cup. Qualifiers that were played over the last 3.5 years. And ended last month in March. Of course, they're the hosts, the USA, Canada, and Mexico. And the 45 countries that qualified, in order: Japan, New Zealand, Iran, Argentina, Uzbekistan, Jordan, South Korea, Australia, Brazil, Ecuador, Paraguay, Uruguay, Colombia, Morocco, Tunisia, Egypt, Algeria, Ghana, Cabo Verde, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Senegal, South Africa, Cote d'Ivoire, England, France, Croatia, Portugal, Norway, Germany, the Netherlands, Switzerland, Scotland, Spain, Austria, Belgium, Panama, Curacao, Haiti, Bosnia-Herzegovina, Sweden, Turkey, Czechia, and then through the interconfederational playoffs, the Democratic Republic of the Congo and Iraq. And these are the confederations that all nations are a part of. Now let's see how every country qualified for the FIFA World Cup this summer. And as the title of this video says, these are my reactions. And I'll also be showing you in this video my reactions to every round of FIFA World Cup qualifiers. Now let's start with the Asian Football Confederation, AFC. Now, onto round 1 of the Asian qualifiers, which had the worst teams. Okay, Afghanistan beats Mongolia 2-0 on aggregate. Both nations don't have much pedigree in the sport. Next, Bangladesh beat the Maldives 3-2 on aggregate. Well, both nations aren't good at the sport. Bangladesh does have a Leicester City right back, so I completely understand this result. Singapore beat Guam 3-1. I also understand this result as Guam, from what little I know about their national team, doesn't have very good footballers. Now onto this set of matches where Yemen beat Sri Lanka 3-0 in the first match, but Sri Lanka did get a draw in the second match. Yemen still advances 4-1 on aggregate. Okay, next. Myanmar beats Macau 5-1 on aggregate. Next. Although considering all of the bad stuff going on in Myanmar, at least that first game was something to cheer about. And Pakistan beats Cambodia 1-0 here. Considering that Pakistan is a very big country, you might think that this is a routine match. But in fact, this is actually the first time that Pakistan made it to the second round of AFC qualifiers. Chinese Taipei! Oh, by the way, this is Taiwan. You didn't have to beat Timor-Leste 7-0 to get to the second round. What are Indonesia doing in this round? And did you seriously need to beat Brunei 6-0 in 2 different games? Well, you made it to the second round. And this is actually an interesting set of matches as Hong Kong beat Bhutan 4-0. But Bhutan came back to win 2-0 in the second game, although it was not enough. And Nepal beats Laos 2-1 on aggregate. I knew that neither team was going far in the qualifiers, so on to the next round. Round 2 of AFC qualifiers for the FIFA World Cup. Qatar finishes top of the table. Kuwait finishes second above India. India bottled, finishing second. You even lost to Afghanistan, who finished bottom of this table. Now on to Group B, where Japan topping the table was more inevitable than me yelling into the microphone in this video. North Korea finishes second above Syria. North Korea being North Korea makes it hard to judge the North Korean national team's performance. Unfortunately, Myanmar had to finish bottom of the table. The team isn't particularly good, but somebody had to finish bottom of the table, and unfortunately it was them. Group C has South Korea, who obviously topped the table, and then second and third, China and Thailand. That was actually a very close result. China was very lucky that Singapore's goalkeeper did not concede enough goals for Thailand to go through on that final match day. Group D, Oman was the weakest Pot 1 team. And then Kyrgyzstan finishes second and Malaysia third. Chinese Taipei, Taiwan, finished fourth with a goal difference of -15. Considering this group, yeah, that's not too ridiculous. Now onto Group E, where Iran and Uzbekistan beat both Turkmenistan and Hong Kong in both of their games, and then drew twice against each other. Iran finishes first due to better goal difference. Very normal result in Group E. In Group F, Iraq somehow won all 6 games. Indonesia finished second after they naturalized a whole bunch of Dutch-born players. Vietnam finishes third. Macwell was not very happy about this one, and the Philippines finishes in last with 1 point. Indonesia was the only team that played in the first round that made it to the third. Now on to Group G, where Jordan somehow beat Saudi Arabia to finish first in this group. Tajikistan and Pakistan were sort of just there. Group H has the United Arab Emirates, who naturalized a whole bunch of Brazilian players, finishing top of this group with Bahrain finishing second. Yemen and Nepal, both from the first round, failed to make it to the third. Very normal result. Group I has Australia topping the group with 6 for 6 wins and 0 goals conceded. Very normal. But in second is Palestine. Considering all of the bad stuff going on in Palestine right now, at least Palestinians have this result to cheer about. And I didn't even know that the country was this good at football. Lebanon and Bangladesh, not as good at football, so they're just out. Now onto the third round of AFC qualifiers, where countries will begin qualifying for the FIFA World Cup. Iran and Uzbekistan, of course having a draw with each other again, qualify for the World Cup. Congratulations to Uzbekistan for qualifying for their first World Cup. The UAE and Qatar, who's actually never had a successful qualifying run before this point, go to the fourth round. Kyrgyzstan and North Korea, despite their great efforts in the second round, are now eliminated in the third. Group B, South Korea obviously tops the group, although I thought they would have done a little bit better. Jordan qualifies in second, making the World Cup debut. Iraq and Oman go to the fourth round. Palestine and Kuwait are unfortunately eliminated. Group C was actually a bit harder to call. Japan topped the group with Australia finishing second, not going to the interconfederational playoffs, unlike the last two World Cup qualifying cycles. Saudi Arabia go to the fourth round with Indonesia. China and Bahrain are eliminated, although Bahrain did get a win against Australia. That's 6 out of 8 or 9 teams from the AFC qualified for the FIFA World Cup, 2 of them being debutants. Let's see if there's more. Qatar qualifies, although they're not debutants, although this is their first successful World Cup qualifying campaign, although there were rumors that their results were rigged. Same with Group B, but with Saudi Arabia this time. Now, the United Arab Emirates and Iraq will need to play in the fifth round to determine who will go to the interconfederational playoffs. In the first game, it was a 1-1 draw in the United Arab Emirates, but Iraq won 2-1 in the second match to qualify for the interconfederational playoffs, which I will come back to later in this video. It's now time for another continent's qualifying campaigns, Africa, the Confederation of African Football. And there's only 2 rounds. Here's the first round, and here's Group A, where Egypt obviously qualified for the 2026 FIFA World Cup. This is also the first time that the same generation of Egyptian footballers will get to play in 2 different World Cups. Mohamed Salah and any of his other teammates from the 2018 squad who make it into the 2026 squad. Now on to Group B, where Senegal obviously topped the group, with the Democratic Republic of the Congo making it to the second round. That was very normal, but what was not so normal is Sudan, which, despite all of the terrible things going on in that country, their national football team, for at least some time during the qualifiers, were able to compete with the best. They were even top of the qualifiers for a little bit. Togo, Mauritania, and South Sudan round out the group. South Sudan, unfortunately, has other bad stuff going on in their country. Group C, congratulations to South Africa for their first successful World Cup qualification since 2002. They were the hosts in 2010. And other than that, Nigeria bottled this group. This was a winnable group for the Super Eagles, yet they finished second, with some very embarrassing results too, like drawing with Lesotho at home on the first match day. The Lesotho goal scorer doesn't have a Wikipedia page, and Nigeria were very lucky to still make it to the second round, as they beat Benin in this table on goal difference, same with Burkina Faso in the second place rankings list. Although Nigeria wasn't the only big team to bottle it, as Cameroon finished second in this group. Cabo Verde finished first to qualify for their very first FIFA World Cup. Cameroon's embarrassing moment was drawing 0-0 with Eswatini. I don't know any players on that team, and you're telling me that Vincent Abubakar and Brian Mbemo could not score any goals against this team. Group E has no giants failing to meet expectations, but did have a team that withdrew, and also another team that was punished. You can see those at the bottom of the screen. Group F was another normal group, with Cote d'Ivoire topping the group, conceding no goals. Gabon finishes second with 25 points actually, That's pretty good. And Cote d'Ivoire are back to the World Cup for the first time since 2014, with a new generation of players. Group G is another group that went pretty normally, with Algeria topping the group. Though something interesting that did happen in this group is that Somalia earned 1 point. Not bad for a team that is one of the worst ranked national teams in the whole world. And don't forget that bad things have been happening to the country for decades now. So Somalia should celebrate earning 1 point from this group. Now on to Group H, where Tunisia topped the group to qualify for the World Cup. That was the most normal thing that happened in this group. You can read below the table to see the not so normal things. Now on to Group I, where Ghana, yes, are the best team on paper in this group, but don't forget, they didn't even qualify for the last Africa Cup of Nations, where they finished bottom of a very winnable group with no wins. But they did win 8 games in this group, so Ghana are going to the World Cup. Good thing they recovered from the disaster called Group F of 2025 AFCON qualifiers. And also, Mali bottled this qualification campaign. They were actually the pot 1 team, not Ghana, surprisingly. Now on to CAF's round 2 for FIFA World Cup qualifiers, where only the 4 best runner-up teams made it to the next round. That was Gabon, who earned a lot of points in that group, the Democratic Republic of the Congo, Cameroon, and Nigeria, edging out Burkina Faso on goal difference. I mentioned that earlier in the video, but that's where you can see it. Well, traditional African powerhouses Nigeria and Cameroon have a second chance to try to qualify for the World Cup. Let's see how they do. Despite Gabon being the first seed team, Nigeria easily beat them, as you would expect, and Cameroon lose to end their hopes of qualifying for the FIFA World Cup. And now the Democratic Republic of the Congo will face Nigeria in the playoff final. Winner goes to the Interconfederational Playoffs. The game goes to penalties, and the Democratic Republic of the Congo beat Nigeria. Do not sleep on this team. I did that, but do not sleep on the Democratic Republic of the Congo national team. Now, later, we're going to see how they do in the Interconfederational Playoffs. Now on to CONCACAF, which is North America's qualifiers. Now, here's round 1 of CONCACAF World Cup qualifiers, where all of these Caribbean island nations play against each other. Next, it's more Caribbean islands playing against each other. Well, I mean, the reason they had to play this first round was because they were the 4 lowest ranking FIFA members in CONCACAF. But congratulations to the 2 winners of these 2 sets of matches. They will go on to round 2 of CONCACAF World Cup qualifiers. We're on to Group A, where somehow Bermuda finishes second in this group. Obviously, Honduras was going to win with 4 out of 4 wins. Fair enough. Now on to Group B, where it's another relatively normal group, with Costa Rica winning 4 out of 4 matches, and Trinidad and Tobago, a team that has actually made it to the FIFA World Cup once, finishing second. Now on to Group C, where Curacao and Haiti qualify for the next round. Well, considering I'm recording this video in late April of 2026, we already know what happens to these teams. And Group D has Panama winning the group with 4 out of 4 wins, fair enough once again, and Nicaragua finishing second. Group E, another team! This time it's Jamaica, winning the group with 4 from 4 wins. Fair enough, they are by far the best team in this group. And on to Group F, where the winner did not win 4 from 4 games. But Suriname and El Salvador are the 2 better teams from this group. This round in general has been very normal. Let's see if round 3 of CONCACAF qualifiers is normal. Here is Group A, where it looks pretty normal to me. Panama, the best team in this group, qualifies for their second ever FIFA World Cup. Let's see if the other groups are normal. Now on to Group B, where Curacao, the smallest ever nation to qualify for a FIFA World Cup, tops this group. Jamaica were the favorites to qualify from this group, yet they bottled it! Although what is very interesting is that all of the teams in this group, except for Bermuda, have played at a FIFA World Cup. I mean, Curacao hasn't yet, but they will in June. Now on to Group C, where this is the biggest shock of them all. Haiti, who were considered underdogs in this group, were the ones who ended up qualifying for their first FIFA World Cup in 52 years. Honduras, at the time, had a stronger team on paper, and also I remember this team having qualified for 2 World Cups during my lifetime, but the team that finished third, Costa Rica. This is a team that I always remember being in the FIFA World Cup. I've watched 3 of them so far, and they were in all of them. But this time, where there are way more spots at the FIFA World Cup and an easier qualifying group, Costa Rica bottled it. I feel bad for Costa Ricans. The national football team, that is shameful, finishing third in this very doable group. But congratulations to Haiti and all Haitians, because your national team is now going to be in the World Cup for the first time in many people's lifetimes. 52 years is a long time. You might be wondering, why is there no blue bar under Honduras? Now, here's the ranking of the second place teams in all of these groups. As Honduras had the worst points record out of any of the teams, they will not be advancing to the Interconfederational Playoffs. Now on to the other confederation in the Americas, CONMEBOL, which represents the 10 countries in South America. I mean, if you take it literally, there's 12, but only 10 are part of CONMEBOL. Now, let's see the table. Yes, there's only one round. And here are the standings. All 10 teams played each other twice, so all of these teams played 18 games. Over the course of 2.5 years, Argentina, the world champions, topped this group. And Ecuador somehow finished second despite starting with -3 points. They recovered quite well and only conceded 5 goals in the qualifiers, the fewest out of any nation in South America. Despite Colombia failing to qualify for the last FIFA World Cup, and there being worries that they failed this time again, they finished third, beating Uruguay to third spot on goals scored. Uruguay is another country that always seems to be at the World Cup, but don't forget, they did win 2 World Cups all the way back in 1930 and 1950. Today's Uruguay team is not those teams of the past, but the team's still good. But you probably noticed by now, I haven't mentioned Brazil yet. That's because they finished 5th. Brazil are very lucky that this World Cup has 6 teams directly qualifying from South America. Not 5 like the 32 team format had. And even then, that 5th spot went to the Interconfederational Playoffs. If Brazil put up this performance in a previous World Cup qualifier, they would have gone to the Interconfederational Playoffs. Brazil, the great Brazil, winner of 5 FIFA World Cups, and the only country that has played in every single FIFA World Cup, would have gone to the Interconfederational Playoffs if it was still a 32-team tournament. Brazil's team has played very badly during these qualifiers by their standards. But I mean, there were similar worries in 2002, so we'll see what happens. And rounding out the top 6 is Paraguay, whose last FIFA World Cup appearance was in 2010. Finishing 7th in this table is Bolivia, who are best known for their high-altitude stadium, the Estadio Hernando Siles, in their capital, La Paz. But then, during the qualifiers, Bolivia moved their home games to El Alto, which has a stadium even higher up in the mountains. How are opposing players supposed to breathe? But Bolivia did win a game at sea level, beating Chile 2-1 away. And also, another thing, since I use iMovie to make these videos, the previous clip was too long, so the image of the table just reset. Now on to 8th, which is Venezuela. Venezuela is the only country in CONMEBOL to have never qualified for a FIFA World Cup. But Venezuela gave it a go in this World Cup qualifier cycle. But unfortunately, they kept losing near the end, and they unfortunately finished in 8th to continue their streak of not qualifying for the FIFA World Cup. But the 2 teams that finished bottom of this table, Peru and Chile, these 2 teams, I thought that both of them would have done better here. But the problem really was, both teams pretty much have the same problem. both teams were playing players from their golden generation, all of whom are now way past their best. I thought that these players would play better, but I mean, think about it. They're all at least 36 years old. They're not going to be as good as they were during their prime. And now, both countries even have bad academies on average, which means that the younger players aren't as good as the ones that they should be replacing. When I was younger, these two teams used to be really good, back when their golden generation players were in their prime. What's happened to these two national teams now is just sad. And also, despite the golden generation players who are still playing for these national teams, collecting lots of caps for their country, but they can't play at the level that their country needs them to anymore. After all, the winner of a football match is determined by who the better players are now, not 10 years ago. And as a result, Peru and Chile thus deserve to be the bottom two of 2026's CONMEBOL FIFA World Cup qualifiers. Not even close to an interconfederational playoff spot. Now onto the Oceania Football Confederation, or OFC for short. And here is round one. What happens in round one? Well, the worst teams in the Confederation play against each other. And Samoa turns out to be the least bad as they won this round. And also, only 2 of the goal scorers from this round have a Wikipedia page. Now on to round 2, where hopefully the players are less bad. And here is Group A, with New Caledonia and Fiji making it to the next round, at the expense of the Solomon Islands, who I've heard actually has one really good player. And here's Group B, with New Zealand winning 3 from 3 matches, obviously. And Tahiti is the other team that advances to the third round. And here is the third round. Well, not yet, because we have this blank screen. Here is the third round, where New Caledonia beats Tahiti 3-0, and then New Zealand beats Fiji 7-0! New Zealand, you did not need to beat Fiji 7-0! Your team may be way better than theirs, but you didn't need to win 7-0 to confirm your spot in the final. Although this is the OFC, the weakest of the 6 football confederations around the world. And New Zealand are the only half-decent team in it. After all, they're the only team in the top 100 of FIFA rankings. And in the final, New Zealand beat New Caledonia 3-0. Although, New Caledonia technically played a good game, as the game was 0-0 until the 61st minute. Even though this is the first time that the OFC had a direct route, a direct qualifying route, not just going to the interconfederational playoffs, to the FIFA World Cup. This is the first time they actually had a full spot guaranteed for them. Well, the matches were pretty normal. The outcomes were pretty normal. And until some of the smaller Pacific Island nations can get better, this will be known as the New Zealand qualifying spot. Now, on to UEFA European qualifiers. The one that's given the most attention. And here's the group stage. Well, here is Group A. A perfectly normal qualifying group, with Germany winning the group, although they did lose their first game to Slovakia, who did finish second in this group, with Northern Ireland in third, not playing too badly, and Luxembourg at the bottom, where they once again failed to qualify for an international tournament. Now on to Group B, where Switzerland topped the group. Once again, Kosovo surprisingly finished second, and then Slovenia in third, and then Sweden somehow finishing bottom of the group with no wins, yet are still rewarded with a playoff spot due to the Nations League. Why are teams being rewarded for playing badly? Now on to Group C, where there is a surprise. It's actually Scotland topping the group, but it was because of their final match against Denmark that allowed them to top this group ahead of the Danes. Greece was in a somewhat close third, and Belarus somehow got 2 points out of this group. Group D was a very normal group, with France topping the group, and Ukraine finishing second to advance to the playoffs. Now onto Group E, where this is another relatively normal group, with Spain topping the group and Turkey finishing second to go to the playoffs. Now onto Group F, where, it's another relatively normal group with Portugal topping the group, with Ireland finishing second, with Hungary barely behind in third. Armenia finished last with 3 points. Group G has another normal group, with the Netherlands finishing top of the group and Poland going into the playoffs yet again by finishing second. Although the other teams were kind of just there. Now onto Group H, where there isn't any country that's been to the World Cup in a little while. Austria tops the group as they had the strongest team. Bosnia and Herzegovina finished second in this group, ahead of Romania, the Pot 2 team. But also, I would like to take a moment to remember the manager who led Romania during these World Cup qualifiers, Mircea Lucescu, who unfortunately passed away earlier this month. He died only 12 days after his final match in charge of the Romania national football team. Other than managing his country, he has also managed many other teams. He was also successful as a player. I can't list all of his achievements in this video, however, so I'll be leaving the link to his Wikipedia page down in the description so that you will be able to read about more of his achievements after this video. May Mircea Lucescu rest in peace. Cyprus and San Marino were just sort of there. Although San Marino didn't play too badly. Now onto Group I, where Norway tops the group. On paper, Italy should have topped the group, but if you saw how Norway played, then yeah, you would understand. 37 goals scored, including 11 in one game against bottom team Moldova. Well, Italy are going to the playoffs for the third World Cup qualification cycle in a row. 4-time world champions, Italy. Don't make it 4 playoffs in a row for 2030 FIFA World Cup qualifiers. Now onto Group J, which is also a very normal group, with Belgium topping the group, Wales finishing second, and North Macedonia taking advantage of the Nations League to go to the playoffs. This has actually happened before, albeit not for World Cup qualifying. Group K went as expected for England, winning 8 from 8 matches. But what was not so expected is Albania and Serbia in the same group. UEFA, why do you let these two countries play against each other? Did you forget about the geopolitical conflict? Although Albania were able to get the better over their rivals, again, yes, that did happen once before during Euro 2016 qualifying. Group L is also pretty normal, with Croatia, the strongest team, finishing top, and Czechia, the second strongest team, finishing second. Although the Faroe Islands, who finished third in this group, and also have a very small population, beat Czechia on the final match day. Well, the group stage determined 12 out of 16 European teams going to the World Cup. Let's look at the 4 playoff paths for the remaining 4 teams. And here is Path A, where in the first match, Wales lost at home to Bosnia-Herzegovina, with Edin Dzeko scoring the equalizer to help get his country to the playoff final. And Italy beat Northern Ireland 2-0. Pretty routine, although Wales were expected to win the other game. Now onto the playoff final. Despite Italy playing away, they were easily the favorites to win the game. But as you can see here, that was not the case. So, you're telling me Italy, 4-time world champions Italy, failed to qualify for 3 consecutive FIFA World Cups, including one which had 48 teams in it? Well, one team was coming back to the World Cup for the first time since 2014. It was not Italy. Instead, it's going to be Bosnia and Herzegovina. And the moment that I learned that this upset happened, I immediately rushed to the comment sections of all of the videos that play the popular Bosnian songs, like the Bosnian Artillery song, as well as this one song where the guy sings, "I am from Bosnia, take me to America," which very conveniently, this World Cup will be held in America. They are from Bosnia, take them to America. They really want to see Statue of Liberty. Although, Bosnia and Herzegovina's first match will be in Canada, and also one of their players was born and raised in the United States. Now, finally onto another path. Path B, where in the first game, it actually wasn't held in Ukraine, even though Ukraine is listed as the home team. I will get to that later. But Sweden, led by Graham Potter, somehow beat Ukraine. Even though Sweden have better players, the team was playing so badly. And in the other playoff tie, more normal result with Poland beating Albania at home 2-1. And then, for the final, it was a rematch for a playoff bracket to qualify for the 2022 World Cup. The last one. Sweden versus Poland again. But this time, it was Sweden who came out on top. Although, once again, don't forget, Sweden only ended up in this playoff bracket because of the Nations League. They were terrible in FIFA World Cup qualifiers. I also heard that the referees likely made some decisions that went against, which means that game could have been rigged. Now on to Path C, where in a thrilling 4-3 match, Kosovo beat Slovakia away, and then Turkey beat Romania 1-0 at home. But that stadium, Romania's manager at the time, Mircea Lucescu, may he rest in peace, gave 2 years worth of his wages to help build the stadium that the game was played in. What a place for his final game to be played. What a legend. May he rest in peace. To the bracket where Kosovo and Turkey faced each other in the final. It's actually astonishing how close we were to having Kosovo at the FIFA World Cup. Only one Turkish goal potentially away from that. But Turkey were the strongest team in this bracket, so things went pretty normally. Now on to Path D, which was definitely not normal. Ireland took the lead against Czechia and then lost it, and then went all the way to penalties, and then the Irish lost. The Irish guy got me excited about the potential for his country to qualify for the FIFA World Cup. Yet, he seemingly jinxed the match. And Denmark beat North Macedonia 4-0. No giant killing from North Macedonia this time. If you do remember, they beat Italy in the last qualifiers. And the final, another 2-2 game for the Czechs, and they beat Denmark, the strongest team on paper in this playoff bracket. Aside from North Macedonia, who had no opportunity to play at home in this bracket, Czechia were the second weakest team in this bracket, and thus were the least likely to have qualified. Well, aside from North Macedonia. But somehow they did, after tying 2 games 2-2 and then winning on penalties. Well, if that's how you qualify for the World Cup, that's how you qualify for the World Cup. Now for the final 2 teams who qualified through the Interconfederational Playoffs. Here's Pathway 1, where New Caledonia didn't really have a chance against Jamaica, who only won 1-0. And then, Jamaica faced the Democratic Republic of the Congo in the final, where the Democratic Republic of the Congo wins 1-0, with Axel Twanzebe of all players scoring. Well, regardless of what position you play in, if you score a goal that sends your country to the World Cup for the first time in 52 years, you're a legend. And that is what he did. The Democratic Republic of the Congo, like Haiti, are back at the World Cup for the first time since 1974. And like Haiti, they'll also be hoping not to embarrass themselves this time. And now here's Pathway 2, where Suriname somehow made it to the Interconfederational Playoffs, and Bolivia somehow, again, won a game outside of Bolivia. But Bolivia couldn't do it again, as waiting for them in the final was Iraq, playing their 21st game in FIFA World Cup qualifying. That is the most out of any team that tried to qualify for the 2026 FIFA World Cup. But at least for Iraq, this game went in their favor and they qualified once again for the first time since 1986. So Iraq's now in one of the hardest groups to get out of. So it's very likely that they're going to play 3 games and then they're out. Well, that's my reaction to the 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifiers. A lot of it seemed analytical, but that's how I reacted to a lot of these games. And also, I barely gave a reaction to some of them because I didn't really care that much. Because I knew that those teams were probably just going to be eliminated. And they were. And in the near future, I'll be making a video predicting how well all 48 of these countries colored in blue will do at this year's FIFA World Cup. As you can already see, this video is really long. If you don't like that, I'm sorry. Sometimes I just want to make really long videos. Comment below what you thought, and don't forget to stay tuned for more footballing content on the KA Bullets Footballing channel. If you like this content, of course.
Press the like button down below if you like this video, and subscribe to this channel if you want to watch more videos like this one.
I'm not sure what kind of upload schedule I want for this channel yet, but the next video on this channel will probably be about club football. Probably the Premier League or the Champions League. The next video on this channel will hopefully be coming out soon enough. Unfortunately, the 2022 Russian invasion of Ukraine is still going on. The Ukrainian people just want to live in peace and have freedom, but that common dream was ruined by the tyrant and bully, Vladimir Putin. One of the consequences of Putin's actions is that Russia's national football team got banned from participating in international tournaments, including the 2026 FIFA World Cup. And due to the danger of the war, Ukraine could not play their home games in Ukraine. Here on the KA Bullets Footballing channel, I stand with Ukraine and recognize their true borders as shown by this map, which includes Crimea, the Donbass, and all of the Kharkiv, Zaporizhia, and Kherson oblasts.
Слава Україні! Героям слава! Нехай швидше дарується Україні перемога!
Glory to Ukraine. Glory to the heroes. May Ukraine be granted victory very soon. Unfortunately, this is not the only international war going on, and another war where authoritarian leaders are trying to keep their people down, and also another conflict which affects what happens in international football.